Welcome back to the wet coast. I've got a limited time before the rain starts, so I thought I'd continue a little bit on my Coleman BT200X mini bike. In a previous video, link in the comments, I've been trying to get a torque converter to work with this 196 CC HiSun engine, and I'm just not getting enough RPMs out of the engine for it to allow the torque converter to start changing its pulley ratios and get me a higher top speed. So I'm going to install some richer jets because I noticed a little bit of a misfire at higher RPMs because I've been messing with the carburetor linkages, the governor linkages, etc. But I've been flying by the seat of my pants when it comes to measuring this stuff, because other than a GPS speedometer app on my phone measuring my top speed, I don't really know how fast the engine's turning. So before I start making any more tweaks to the engine to try and get this thing running faster, I'm going to install a simple little tachometer. It's a super simple little instrument to install. You just wrap the wire around the spark plug lead and it just measures the pulses. You just tell it how many cylinders you've got. I think 2-stroke, 4-stroke. Super easy to set up. I'm going to do that now. Another nice thing that these things have is an hour meter, so you can use this for maintenance as well. Like, I like to change the oil on these little engines about every 10 hours. And that way, because we don't have odometers, we don't have reminders like we do in our cars, we can just keep on top of the oil changes, because these engines don't have any type of filtration and you want to keep that oil as clean as possible. The only way to do that is by changing it. All right, gonna get this installed and see how fast the engine runs. I think for now I'm just gonna stick it here. I will make a proper mounting plate for it at some point, maybe up here somewhere, but this is just for testing, so I'm gonna loosely connect it. Now the signal wire is just gonna wrap around the spark plug lead, but I see that I'm gonna have to remove some of this insulation to do it, so I'm gonna cut that back. The instructions say the lead needs to be wrapped around the ignition wire about 4 or 5 times and then tied off. So it doesn't say any particular direction, but it should be at least 4 to 5 times. Something like that. Now I've got a fancy tool where I can really pull a lot of tension on the tie and get it to hold down really snug, but I'm just going to leave it like this, get it as tight as I can. And then I'm just going to temporarily keep these wires out of the way. Or you could just wrap the wires in electrician's tape to make it a nice, neat package that you could undo at a later date. Almost 1700 RPM. It's a little hard to see on the camera, I'm sure, but I got it up to just over 3,400 RPM at full throttle. So I'd like to see if I could get that up around 4,200. So if I flip through the menu, I can see my maximum RPM was 3,530. Not bad. Need to get that up a little bit higher. So it showed that my max RPM was just over 3,500, which is not bad. It's about 200 to 300 over what the stock governor does, but I want to get it up around 4,200 to 4,500. So now I'm going to put in a bigger jet and see if that makes a difference. So first I'm going to drain the carb with the drain bolt underneath it, get it empty, make sure the fuel is turned off. I'm going to remove the air cleaner housing, unpull the carb right off, and then I'll take it to my workbench and I'll show you how I can replace the jet. It's super simple. All you need is a 10mm socket and a flathead screwdriver and obviously some jets. So I'll do that now. So I've got the carburetor off and drained in a clean work area. Well, cleanish in this case. All you need to do to get access to the jets is take the center bolt out. So you just get a 10mm socket, and it will just come right out, and then the whole bowl will come off. Don't put any pressure on this really. This is your float. There's a needle valve in there. It's pretty fragile, so don't huff on it or anything. The jet itself is down the center of that tube, and to get it out, you'll need a slotted screwdriver. And it's a matter of something that'll fit in there. This one, okay, this is really interesting. This is a tamper-proof jet. They've got a ramp slot on there, so the screwdriver just turns. So I'm not going to be able to use this carburetor. I was today years old when I found out that some of these carburetors have tamper-proof jets in them. I guess these engines have to be pollution compliant, so Coleman obviously doesn't want to have any legal liability, so they've probably made these, or requested that these carbs become tamper-proof, but there's ways around that. You may run into that with your engine, so keep that in mind, especially if it's a stock Coleman tamper-proof jets. I've got a spare carburetor over here, so I'm going to put a bigger jet in this one and see how it runs. This one's a little bit older, so it's a bit dirtier. Screwdriver in there, feel it engage, and just unscrew it. And you don't want to lose that. So in these small engines, the GX200 clones, the jets, I believe, are a .028 drill size, which I think translates to around a number 78 or 75 jet. I don't know exactly. I'm going to put a .032 size jet in there, and the jets, I'll show you, will have the sizing on them. They don't correspond to drill sizes that, as far as I know, but I think that's around a number, or a number 82, .034 or .032. Anyways, there's tables online you can look up. The bigger the number, the more fuel it will flow. This is a jet kit that I bought off of Amazon. I will put a link in the description along with one for the digital tachometer you just saw me install. Comes with an assortment of jets. They go from, I think, a number 82 up. The number 82 is the one I'm going to look for, but right on the side will be a stamp with a jet number on it, and I think that's a 75. So this actually goes smaller than I thought. I'm looking for a number 81. So this is the one I'm going to run with. I'm going to run with an 82. So really, it's just a matter of getting your carb, putting the emulsifier tube back in. That's the end that goes in first. Drop it in. Take your jet, flat side in, because you need the screwdriver slot on there. And gently tighten it up. Doesn't have to be huffed on too hard, just a snug fit. Carburetor roll back on. Again, snug fit. Doesn't have to be yanked on too hard. Different carb, bigger jet. Putting it in the bike now. Let's see how she does. It's all back together again. Let's see if she's got some more usable power. Oh yeah, that feels better, and it comes on fast. Max RPM now is over 3,800, almost 3,900. Okay, that's better. I'll take it. Let's see if she rips any faster. I got her up to 25 mile an hour, and the power comes on so much faster now. But it's only up to around 3,000 RPM still, so I think there's more in her. I'm gonna mess with the governor. I'm just gonna tie it back. I'm gonna do a super cheap little fix on preventing the governor from closing the carb. That'll be the last thing I do to this, I think. See how it goes. All right, so the governor arm is just underneath the gas tank here. So to do this, I need to get the gas tank off. There's two 10mm nuts on the front, and there's an 8mm bolt on the back. These are head sizes, not actual bolt sizes. So use a 10mm socket on the front, 8mm on the back. I'm gonna pull the tank off. I'll show you what the governor arm looks like. Okay, so I've got the gas tank out of the way, and I realize I can't do anything like tying the governor arm off because this linkage is directly connected to the butterfly and the carburetor. You can see it moves down in here when I move the governor arm. So this is throttle closed and this is throttle wide open. So what happens when the engine reaches its maximum speed according to the governor, it starts to close the throttle and achieves a balance between the spring controlling this side of it from the throttle input and the governor trying to close it on this side of things. So I think this spring looks useless to me. It's like it doesn't even reach a point of tension. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Mickey around with it, and I'm going to use this spring to put more rearward tension on the governor arm, and that way it'll take longer for it to reach a speed that it wants to close the throttle. Alright, I think this is going to work. So that now will give me a lot more, yeah, on that spring there. And with this backed off enough, that's going to allow even more tension. This should give me a few hundred more RPM. Let's try this out. $46.70. Now we're talking. That got me 4,600 RPM. That's about as fast as I want to take this little motor, because you're going to find a lot of information online about the dangers of over revving these engines, because they're just a cast flywheel. They could come apart. So you don't want to push them probably more than that. And it probably goes without saying, this is definitely going to void your warranty. So I'm going to put on my helmet and see how fast you'll go now. I think this is it. So much better. Wow. This little bike has woken right up. 30 mile an hour, no problem. Accelerates like a bat out of hell. I mean, relatively speaking, it is only 6.5 horsepower. So by messing around with the governor, tension settings on those springs, rejetting the carb, and just sort of messing around with the engine a little bit, this is a different bike. That was a lot of fun. Now, I think it's on to the next phase of what I'm gonna do to this thing. Anyways, that was a blast. Thanks for watching.